Hi, this is Dr. Al-Odeh, and I'm here to explain an example about the multi-factor productivity. The multi-factor productivity is a great way to measure the output versus the input. And we use it in a different economics scales. And what is exactly entails into the output and the input. So basically you're comparing the output to the input and see if the output is more than the input. And this is the optimal goal for you, is to have an output more than the input, because this is how you make money. This is how you become productive and serve more customers, etc. So productivity, for the multi-factor productivity, I'm going to give you this example. As you know, imagine that you're working at a restaurant as a cashier. You will see a team of people working with you, not just only you. You're not going to do the cooking. You're not going to do the delivery. You're not going to do the serving, etc. So the multi-factor productivity consider multiple factors that will result in the overall productivity. So the restaurant productivity that you're working in, it's not going to be just based on your productivities. It will be based on the cashier productivity, the cook productivity, the server productivity, the manager productivity, etc. So there are multiple factors will impact the productivity. And again, what's the ultimate goal is to have a more output than the input. So let's take a look into this equation here. The output divided by the input. So the input could be a labor, material, and overhead. And now let's break this down into more detailed. The output units times the cost, that would be the output, divided by the labor hours times the labor cost. And I'm going to add a little bit here times the number of workers, plus material cost, plus the overhead hours times the overhead cost. Okay. In order to explain this concept, what I want to do, I want to share with you this example. In this way, you will be understanding how to calculate the multi-factor productivity. The weekly output of a fabrication process is shown below, together with the data for labor and material input. Standard selling price is $125 per unit. Overhead is charged weekly at the rate of $1,500 plus 0.5 times of the direct labor cost. Assume a 40-hour week and an hourly wage of $16. Material cost is $10 per foot. What is the average multi-factor productivity? What is the average multi-factor productivity? So let's take a look into what we have here. We have 2 weeks. The output for week 1 would be 392, and the output for week 2 is 408. Number of workers 5 and 6, and material is 2720 for the first week and 2790 for the second week. So whenever I see equation like this, or an example that needs to do that you need to apply some equations, what I like to do is break it down into numbers, just simplify it. I put selling price here, so I'll go over the information that is given in the question, and I start putting these information down. So the selling price is 125, the overhead rate is 1,500 plus the 0.5 times of the direct labor cost. Hours per week, it would be 40. Hourly cost per the worker cost would be $16 per hour, and material cost is $10 per foot. So what we need to do, we need to start with these equations, which is the output divided by the input. So we need to find out what would be the output and what would be the input. So start with the output. I'm going to put it in here. The output would be the output units times the cost. All right, now let's take a look into what would be the output for the first week. So this is week 1. Okay. We'll start with week 1. So that would be equal. We have 392 times the cost for the selling price per unit is 125. 120. That's simple and easy. That would be the output. This is in terms of dollar, 49,000. Now we're going to calculate the input. The input, again, the input would be this side right here, the labor hours times the labor cost times the number of workers. Okay, let's start with this one. Okay, so that would be first would be the labor, material, and we have the overhead. The labor for week 1, we have 40 hours per week, and we pay $16 per hour. And also what we have here, we have 5 workers. 5 workers. So this is what we pay for the workers, for the labor. Now let's do the material. The material would be the 2720 times what would be the cost per foot would be $10. All right, now we are going to the overhead. The overhead cost would be 1,500 plus 0.5 of the direct labor cost, which is 0.5 times the 3,200. I like to put these in parentheses, so we'll give priority for the multiplication. All right, now all these are dollar sign. So the input here for week 1 would be adding these together. That would be 33,500. And now let's divide the output by the input. So the productivity for week 1, or multi-factor productivity week 1, would be the input, the output divided by, equal the output divided by the input. And this would give you, and the output is 49,000 divided by 33,500. That will give you 1.462, which means they are very productive. The rule of thumb for productivity, you should have at least 70% and up. If you have 70% and up, that would be fine. So in this case, we have an excellent productivity, more than the input. So as long as you have more than 1, that's good. This is what we're looking for. Now for week 2, what I did here, I did calculate. So I went slowly here. Hopefully this will help you. But what I'm going to show you here, I did hide it here under this. I did calculate the productivity, multi-factor productivity for week 2 in one equation. So what I did here, I did say here's the output, which is the 408 times the 125, the selling price, divided by the input, and the input would be the labor, the material, and the overhead. The labor would be, we have 6 workers for week 2, so 40 times 16 times 6, plus the material would be 2790 times $10 per foot, plus the 1,500 plus 0.5 of the labor, the direct labor cost. And that's all in one equation. If you like to do it in one equation, that's perfect. But I would recommend to go step by step to divide the needed information one by one, so you don't miss anything and you don't do a mistake. So what we have here, we have multi-factor productivity for week 1 would be 1.46. Multi-factor productivity for week 2 would be 1.45. So the overall multi-factor productivity, the average multi-factor productivity would be 1.45, and this is what we get as an average for the multi-factor productivity. All right, well, I hope this is helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.